Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. It's Interop 2010 Day 2 and we are in Las Vegas. Today on our show is Doug Brockett, who's with Sonicwall. Doug, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you, Rich?
Thank you for being on the program. I'm doing fantastic. We're just talking about the 40 mile per hour winds that kept some of us awake last night in our hotel rooms. It was that loud.
It was. It was pretty fantastic. But there's a lot going on here. It's an exciting show.
Yeah. The show's been great, and we're very excited, doing lots of briefings and learning about companies such as yourself. What kinds of things have you been up to lately, the last year?
Well, for us, it's really about bringing new types of network security technology to the market. And we're here at the show talking about two new announcements for us. One announcement is continuing a strategy of bringing virtual appliances that are virtual instantiations of Sonicwall's industry-leading technology. Today we're announcing our third virtual security appliance, our virtual email security appliance, which fulfills a part of our roadmap that we started articulating earlier this year. And then we're also announcing a revolutionary technology that allows people to do full malware protection, full application control and identification at speeds up to 40 gigabits per second and beyond.
Okay, and so in terms of what customers are telling you, what sorts of things have you heard?
Well, what we're hearing people talk about is the fact that they're looking at the 10 gigabit per second revolution that's happening in the area of connectivity, and they're saying, at that level of performance, how are they going to keep up from a security perspective? They're confronting this trade-off between enabling the applications at the speeds they want to run, and at the same time not wanting to expose themselves to risks in terms of malware. And to date, all the technology approaches have said, hey, you've got to trade off performance to get that level of protection. What we're doing is saying, hey, no, let's change that story. Let's talk about getting full protection and full performance at the same time.
So can we go into some more depth on how you're doing that?
Yeah, Sonicwall's approach is that you really need to scan everything. You can't say that some types of traffic are just trusted because, the bad guys out there today, they're professionals, and they're finding ways into every network. So no matter what you're doing, you've got to be able to scan every bit of every byte of every packet flowing into your network. And when you do that, it uses very, very large amounts of compute power. What Sonicwall's introduced is an architecture that combines some really smart, reassembly-free deep packet inspection software with massively parallel processing technology, and crams a level of performance into just a 4-rack unit package that allows people to run at 10 gigabits, 40 gigabits, and beyond.
And are there specific types of companies that are more applicable or not?
Where we see people really most interested in this to start with are in areas of higher education, where frankly they're serving a large population of users that expect very high performance, are pulling in lots of new applications, and are frankly a breeding ground for malware. We see this happening at large distributed enterprises that have very, very high performance networks that need more protection as they connect all of their branch offices and remote users. And then we see governments, state, local, and federal, recognizing the fact that they may be specific attacks targeted toward them by third parties that are looking to compromise the integrity of their systems.
And are there any particular malware attacks worth discussing that have been especially, malevolent?
Yeah, what we see happening right now is that a lot of IT managers are really losing control of their networks, in that a lot of these consumer applications that may be hosted and running outside, Web 2.0 apps or software as a service, they're being brought into their enterprises without their knowledge. And the reason for this is that they don't have to install any software for their users to be using these apps. So sometimes we find IT managers who don't even know what's running on their network because they didn't install any applications. And yet these things can become conduits for malware. So for example, in 2009, we saw worms being spread through social networking applications like Facebook. Was a very big one. We see opportunities for people to get malware through Twitter by following shortened URLs that may hide malware in them. And all these things are showing up on their network. So the IT manager actually really needs to go through a discovery process to even figure out what applications are running on my network, and then how can I adopt a security posture that will protect me from those threats.
And it's constantly evolving, so you must have a tremendous amount of resources dedicated to trying to prevent the next attack.
I think that's a great point. Sonicwall has shipped over 1.5 million firewall appliances. And one of the things that happens as a result of that is we have a tremendous community that is feeding us back real-time information about the types of threats that are going on in the internet. And that feeds back into our Sonic Grid network, where our researchers are able to analyze tens of thousands of malware samples every day and push those new signatures and new protection methods out to all of our users. And if you don't keep on top of that, just like that, you can be behind the curve and you're the target for the next guy.
So what sorts of resources does your company put into figuring out the next level threats? In other words, how many engineers do you have working on this?
Sure. I mean, Sonicwall has over 320 engineers working around the world. We use this follow the sun model, where 24 hours a day, Sonicwall engineers are working on the latest threats. And as I mentioned, we're getting tens of thousands of threat samples every day that are coming back to us, which our engineers are building solutions, writing signatures, and creating new defenses. We push those out to our users as frequently as every 5 minutes, making sure their networks are as protected as they possibly be.
That's great. So 30 seconds remaining. What's the next step for the company?
You know, for Sonicwall, what we've realized is that it doesn't matter how big or how small you are as a company. The bad guys are out there. They don't write a big virus for big companies and small viruses for small companies. You got to provide a level of technology that protects everyone. And right now, we're the guys that are leading the industry with respect to effectiveness, catching as many threats as possible, and performance. And we're going to stay ahead of that curve every step of the way.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the program today. This was great.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.